Hey, what's up, musers? This is John at Muse for You, here to help you build awesome websites without code. And in this video tutorial, we're going to be creating a one-page music website. So if you're a musician, a producer, or you make music, hopefully this video tutorial will inspire you to make your own creative website for yourself. I'm going to try to finish this video tutorial within 30 minutes or less, so you can watch this video and then get started with your own website. I am using quite a few widgets from museforyoushop.com. For some of the animations, I'm using the Muse Motion widget. I'm using the Animator widget, which is now the Animator 1.3. I'm using the Shake 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 widget, and for the menu, I'm using the Responsive Side Menu widget. For the audio, I'm using the Click Hover Audio Effects widget, and I'm also using the Mute Unmute Audio widget as well, and I have it here. For the font, I'm using the Font Smoother widget to make the font a little bit smoother. And I'm also using the Particles.js widget in the background to add more effects to the website. So I'll go ahead and preview this website in the browser. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser. And here we can see the animation. And the audio starts to play. All right. So that's actually music that I've made. I work with music here and there, so I've added my own music to this website. So I'm going to go through this entire website. We're going to recreate it. If I scroll down, we have bio, music, SoundCloud, and contact. And we can see we have the particles back here, the particles.js. These speakers here are shaking with the Shake 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 widget. And this animation is all done with Muse Motion. This is the Mute Unmute Audio widget. So if I play the audio, or I can mute it there as well. I've also added an animation to this element here. And also if I click on any of the speakers, we have audio as well. And that's using the Click Hover Audio Effects widget. All right, and if I click on beats, it goes down to music, and there it is. All right, and then for the menu, we're using the Responsive Side Menu widget, and I've added speakers here for the images, or for the kind of icons, and then we have home, bio, music, SoundCloud, and contact. If I click on any of these, it goes to that part. And I've also added some easing to the website, so it kind of looks like that DJ effect. The website goes down and then up. So I thought it's kind of a cool effect, kind of like scratching on a turntable type of idea. Okay, so there's a lot of different elements or different things and aspects to this website, and I'm going to go over all of this in this video tutorial and hopefully give you some ideas for your own website. So let's begin. So the first thing I'll do is go to File, New Site, and I'll click OK. Oh, and one thing I didn't showcase, and I'll do it here, I'll just hit refresh here. Yeah, this animation here in the middle is using Muse Motion, where we have the speakers coming in, and I think I did mention that. I just wanted to refresh and show that real quick again. But yeah, I'll go to New Site. I'm on my home page, so I'll double click. And the first thing I want to do is open up this image here. This is actually an image. So I'm just going to go to Illustrator, or open this image in Illustrator. And I have the image here, or let me open my Finder. The image is right here. So I'll right click, open with Adobe Illustrator. And here's the image. The first thing I want to do is resize this image to about 700 pixels wide, because that's how big I want the image to be on my website. So here I'll just select everything here on the image, and then in the width I'll set it to 700 pixels wide. Okay, and then I'll zoom in here. That looks good. And now what I'll do is I'll remove certain elements. Certain elements here. Yeah, so I'll remove this guy here. I'll just put him to the side, and then these speakers, I'll put them to the side as well, just like that. And these ones down here as well. Okay. So there we have the elements. We have these two speakers. We have this middle speaker. We have these side speakers, and we have this guy here. So the first thing I'm going to do is just select this entire area, and then I'll hit Command C to copy. Then I'll go back into Muse and I'll hit Command V to paste. All right. And it'll just take a moment because I think there's a lot of elements to this image. And there it is. There's our first image. And then I'll take this guy here. I'll click on him and then I'll hit Command C to copy, go back into Muse and then hit Command V to paste, and I'll place him like right there. That looks good. And then I'll take this middle speaker, I'll hit Command C and copy, then I'll hit Command V and paste into Adobe Muse. And let me see how this image looks. Let me just reference it real quick. Okay, yep, so we'll go back in here and into Muse. Yeah, the speaker goes right there, and this guy goes up a little bit higher, like right there. Okay, and then I'll take these two speakers, I'll hit Command C, I'll paste, and I'll place those right in there, and I'll arrange and bring this middle speaker to the front. And then I'll grab these two, hit Command C to copy, and then hit Command V to paste, and place those right in there. All right, that looks good. Okay, perfect. And if it's not like exactly perfect like the first website, that's okay. We're just trying to get it pretty close. Okay, so there we go. We have our different elements, these two speakers, we have this middle speaker, and these side speakers, and we have this guy up here. So those are the different elements of this animation. So now what I'm going to do is bring in the Muse Motion widget so we can animate this element here, or these elements. So I'll go to my library panel. If you don't see your library panel, you can go to Window and then click on Library. So I'll just do that. I'll click Window and then Library, and it'll bring up the library panel, or I can click it here on my panels here to the right. So here I'll type in Muse Motion, and then I'll bring in the Muse Motion initial, and I'll bring it right in there. And I'll also bring the additional, because I know I'm going to use the additional widget for my second, third. There's 5 animations here, so I'm going to use the additional 4 times, and the initial you just bring it in once. Okay, and before I start working with these widgets, I actually want to give each of these elements a graphic style name, so that when I work with the widget, I can assign the widget to the different graphic styles. And to assign graphic styles, what we do is click on the element. So I have this element right here. I'll go to graphic styles, and if you don't see your graphic styles panel, you can go to Window and then click on graphic styles. So I have it brought up here. So here I'll click on this little icon that looks like a piece of paper. So I'll just click on it, and this creates a new graphic style. So here where it says style, I'll double click, and I'll call this Motion 1. Okay, and now I'll click on this guy, I'll create a new graphic style, I'll double click, I'll call this Motion 2, I'll click on this speaker here, I'll call this Motion 3, and I'm just going in order of how I want it to animate. So I want the background to animate first, and then I want this guy to animate, and then I want this speaker to animate, then these two, and then these two on the side. So I'll go and click on these two here that are to the left and right of this speaker. I'll create a new graphic style, I'll double click, I'll call this Motion 4, and then I'll click on these side ones here. These side ones, I'll create a new graphic style, I'll double click, and I'll call this Motion 5. Okay, so there all of the elements have a graphic style name assigned to them. So if I go to the Muse Motion initial, we can see that the graphic style name is Motion 1, and it matches this background image, or this first element of the buildings and everything here. And the instance number is 1. So for the additional elements, we're just going to change the instance number in sequence, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the graphic style name the same, Motion 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so for this first animation, I want it to start on start. I don't want a delay. I do want it hidden initially, and we don't need to worry about rotate first or loop animation or repeat on scroll, because we don't want any of those, and we're not triggering the animation on scroll. For the transform origin, I do want it to animate from the center, so I want it at 50 and 50. And for the scale, I'll click on scale, and I want it to scale the most. So to have it scale the most, you start at 0, and then the largest scale is 1. So for the X and Y axis, we'll start at 0, and then we'll scale it to 1. And the duration, we'll leave it at 1 second, and we'll have some bounce to it. So we'll leave this just like that. We're not going to rotate it, translate it, or skew it, and we don't need on-scroll fading because we're not going to trigger it on scroll. Okay, so those are the options. So now if I go to File, Preview Page in Browser, we can see, and let me see why this one animated. Oh yeah, because we have Motion 2 in here as well. So we saw that the background animated. So let me click, and it animated there. The animation is a bit quick, but we'll work with it as we're working with this animation. So now I'll go to the Muse Motion additional, and the instance number is already 2, and the motion is 2, and that's why that little guy was animating there, or the DJ here, the musician. And here again, we're going to leave this all just like it is, but we're going to set an animation delay of 1 second, so the background animates first, and then the guy animates. And then for the scale, we're going to say 0, 0. We'll start from 0 to 0, and we'll scale from the center. Okay, so now if I go to File, Preview Page in Browser, we have that, and then we have the guy animating in. All right, that looks good. So I'll just copy and paste the animator additional, and I'll move fairly quickly through this. Just like that. And we have 5 different animations there. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the Muse Motion, the third one, the additional, and just change the instance number. Here I'm going to change the animation delay to 2 seconds, so it starts after the second one. Then I'll go to the fourth one, I'll change it to 4, change it to motion 4, and then the delay I'll say to 3 seconds, and then I'll do motion 5. Yeah, motion 5, and we'll do 4 seconds here for 5. All right, and because it had the same options as the previous additional ones, because I just copied and pasted, all I'm changing is the instance number and the graphic style name and the animation delay. So now if I go to File, Preview Page, or not say Properties, I go to File, Preview Page in Browser. Okay, we should have everything animating in sequence. All right, that looks good. This one here, don't know why the animation, oh yeah, I kind of do know it animated. That's not bad actually. I kind of like it. It kind of animates out. What I could have done for each of these is copied and pasted them individually, and that way they would animate individually. But I kind of like the way it is. We have those side speakers animating from the center and going out. So I like that effect, so I'll leave it like that. And that's it for that animation. We'll just leave it like that. The last thing I want to do is have kind of a nice fade in effect for this animation. So what I'm going to do is create a rectangle over all of these elements, a transparent rectangle, and then I'm going to right click, arrange, and send to back. And then I'll bring in the animator widget. So I'll type in the animator, and I'll bring in the animator initial, because it's our first instance of the animator. And then for this transparent rectangle that we created, I'm just going to give it a graphic style, animate 1. So I'll go to my graphic styles, create a new graphic style, double click, and call this animate 1. All right, and then for the animation, I want it to fade in. So I'll click fade in, and that's it. So we're going to have the animation kind of fade, so it doesn't have a such a how should I say it, like such a quick impact as soon as you enter the site. It's more smoother. I'll go to File, there it is. So you might have not noticed it too much, but it is a bit smoother when it first enters, and the animation just looks really clean and very nice. Okay, so those are the elements there. Now the next thing I'm going to do is bring in those speakers. So I'm just going to drag this down, and yeah, everything looks pretty centered. And I'm actually going to put these widgets on the side so they don't interfere with the design here. So the next thing I'm going to do is bring in some speakers. So I have another image file, so I'll go to $Photo Club. I'll right click, open with Adobe Illustrator. Yeah, and I did get these images from Photo Club, which I believe now is Adobe stock. So yep, I want to copy this speaker here. Let me remove this background, and I'll just copy this one here. I'll hit Command C to copy, go into Muse, and hit Command V to paste. And then I'll make this this speaker 100 by 100, just like that. I just changed the width and the height up here in the upper toolbar, and then I'll place these speakers in each of the corners. Okay, just like that. And perfect. We'll line them up there, and that looks good. I could probably bring them in a little bit more so they're a little bit closer, maybe something like that. Yeah, something like that looks good. Okay, that feels a little bit too close. Okay. All right, yeah, that looks good. Okay, so there are our 4 speakers. Excuse me. So now I'm gonna bring in the shake, shake, shake widget and make the speakers shake. So it has this cool animation, almost like the speakers are vibrating. So I'll go to my library panel and I'll type in shake. And here I have the shake, shake, shake widget. So I'll click, hold, and drag and place onto my Adobe Muse website. I want it to infinitely shake, and I want it to stop shake on hover. And then for the shake, I want it to be a shake little. So it's like a little vibration to these speakers. So now I'll just assign the same graphic style name to each of these. Because it's the same animation, I don't need multiple instances of the shake, shake, shake widget. So here we can see in the graphic style it says shake 1. So I'll just go to this speaker and I'll go to my graphic styles panel. I'll create a new graphic style. I'll double click and call this shake 1. And then I'll assign the same graphic style to each of these images. And that's it. And let me just make sure that all of this is centered. Okay, yeah, that looks good. All right, so I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser. And we can see those speakers are shaking and we have that animation. Looks good. Yep, I'm liking the way it's coming out. Yeah, the first website was a lot of fun making that one as well. And it's just fun working with these animations here. So the next thing I'm gonna do is assign audio to each of these speakers. So to do that, I'm gonna bring in the click hover audio effects widget. So I'll type in click, and here I have it, click hover audio effects, and I'll bring in the initial, and I'll bring that over here to the side so it doesn't interfere with our design. And for the MP3, I'll add an MP3. I have the audio right in here, and I'll say kick here for this first one. And I don't want to stop the sound on mouse leave because these audio tracks are not very long. I don't want it to like cut off when the user removes their mouse from the element. So we'll just uncheck that. And I do want it to be on click, not on hover. And that's it. So that's it for this one. So now I'll bring in the click hover audio effects additional. So I'll type in click, click hover audio effects additional for the other instances, and I'll bring that here. And let's see, yeah, on click, and we'll uncheck stop sound on mouse leave. I'll click add file, and we'll say this one here, and then I'll click on this third one, or I'll copy and paste this click hover audio effects additional, and I'll click here on MP3, and I'll say here on this clap there, and I'll change the instance number to 3 and the audio and the graphic style name to audio 3. Okay, and so now what I want to do is assign graphic style names to each of these. We can see that in the widgets it's audio 1, audio 2, and audio 3. So I'll just click on the speaker, I'll go to graphic style, and I actually just realized that I do need multiple instances of the shake, shake, shake widget, because to give them each individual audio tracks, they do need to have different instance numbers. So I'll just create 3 different shake, shake, shake widgets, and I'll say shake 1, shake 2, and shake 3. Okay, and then for the click hover audio effects, I'm just gonna say shake 1 and shake 2, and this will allow us to have the audio effects and the shake on the same element, and shake 3. And that's it. So we don't have to reassign the graphic style names because we already assigned the graphic style names. What we do need to do is change the graphic style name for this one. So we're going to say shake 2, and then this one we're going to say shake 3. Okay, so now I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and they're all shaking. And if I click, they each have different audios when I click on them, and they stop shaking when I hover. Okay, didn't mean to click that too fast. Okay, and this one we're gonna have go to the music at the bottom of the page. Okay, so those are the different widgets there, or the different elements. So now for the menu, I'm going to bring in the responsive side menu widget. So I'm going to go to my library panel, and I'm going to type in responsive, and here I have the responsive side menu widget. I just recently did a new update. It's now responsive side menu widget 1.2. It has a new widget interface, and you can now place it on the right as well as the left. So you can place it on the left and the right. If you wanted to place it on the right, you just use the on right widgets here. Yep, so here for the responsive side menu, I'm going to select the one with images because I want to add speakers instead of icons for the side menu. So I'll click, hold, and drag and place onto my Adobe Muse website. And I can actually place it right up here in the upper left. So now if I go to File, Preview Page, and Browser, we can see we have the side menu there, and we don't have any images, so it kind of looks a little bit strange without the images. So what I'm going to do is add speakers for the images. So to do that, I'm going to go back into Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to create a new file. So I'll go to File, New, and I'll create a 60 by 60 square for the artboard. And then I'll copy this speaker here. I'll hit Command C to copy, and then I'll hit Command V to paste. And I do want these speakers to be a little bit smaller than the previous one. So the images, they're looking for, the menu is looking for images that are 60 by 60, and that'll be the largest size that it will make it. But if we make the image less than 60 by 60 in a 60 by 60 artboard, then we'll have some space around the image. So I'll make the image 40 by 40, and then I'll center it in the center there. Okay, and I'll save it as SVG to retain the quality. So I'll go to File, Export, and then here I'll say, down here for format, I'll say SVG, and then I'll say, I'm going to say use artboard, so it uses that 60 by 60, and I'll say speaker, menu speaker here, .svg. Then I'll click OK, and I'll go back into Adobe Muse. I'll go to the responsive side menu, and then I'll click on menu items. I'll click on add file, and let me go back into the images, and I'll click on menu speaker, and then menu speaker, menu speaker, menu speaker, and menu speaker. And here we're going to use 5 menu items. Okay, so I'll click on File, Preview Page, in Browser, and there it is. Perfect. So you can see that the speakers are a little bit smaller. In the other website, the speakers are a little bit bigger, but because we made it 40 by 40 in the 60 by 60 artboard, it's registering the 60 by 60, but the image is smaller in that 60 by 60, so that looks nice. So the next thing I want to do is remove this top bar and kind of style it more for the black and white of this website. So I'm going to go into the responsive side menu. And for the trigger color, I'm going to say black. The trigger color on hover, I'll say white. The trigger selected color, I'll say black. The text color, I'll say black. The text color on hover, I'll leave it at black as well. Background color, we'll say white. Menu item hover color, we'll say white for that as well. Or yeah, we'll say white. And then the menu font size, I'll make it a little bit bigger. I'll say 24, and then I'll remove the top bar. And then for the trigger lines, I'll make them all black. The top line, black, in between lines, make them black. And let me close these here so we have more space. Bottom line, black, and yeah, that's it. So let's see how this looks. I'll go to File, Preview Page, in Browser, and I'll go to the menu, and it looks good. What I'm thinking I'm gonna have the hover, let's see, maybe I'll have the hover be black and the text white. So let's see, menu item on hover will say black, and then the text color on hover will say white. So let's see how that looks. I'll go to File, Preview Page, in Browser, hover, and perfect, that looks really good. And then for the menu text, I'm gonna go ahead and change the font. I'll click on the widget, and then I'll go to the text options in Adobe Muse. I'll click the drop down, and then I'll select the one I used for the last one was, let's see, Elro Text, and I got this from a website called pixelbuddha.net. It's a really interesting font. So I'll go to File, Preview Page, and Browser. I'll hover, and there we can see the different menu items. Okay, that looks good, and I'm wondering if that's the same font that I used. I think it is. Yeah, that's the same font. So now I'll just give each of these menu items a name. So for the first menu item, I'll say Home. The second menu item, I'll say Bio. The third menu item, I'll say Music. Fourth, I'll say SoundCloud. And the fifth, I'll say Contact. Okay, and then for the anchors, we'll just name the anchors to the like the menu items. So we'll say Home, we'll say Bio, we'll say Music, and here we'll say SoundCloud, and here we'll say Contact. Okay, so there we have the menu items. So if I go to File, Preview Page, Preview Page in Browser, and I go over the menu, we can see we have those menu items there, and that looks good. All right, so I'm liking the way it's looking so far. The next thing I'll do is add the different sections of the website. So I'll select the text tool, and I'll just create some text. I haven't added the music yet, and I'm going to do that at the end, because as I'm building the site, I don't want to have to keep muting the audio. So we're going to add that at the end once we finish adding all the other elements to the website. So for this first section, I'm going to say Bio, and let's make it 70 or 60. I think 60 looks good. And then I'll match the text. So I'll say Elroy text, and I'll center this in the center. And there we have Bio. That text, I'm not quite sure if that's the one I used in the last one. It looks a little bit too bold. Let me bring in the font smoother, so see if we can get some smoother font there. So I'll say font smoother. In the library panel, I'll click, hold, and drag, and perfect. So I'll go to File, Preview Page, and Browser, and let's see. Yeah, it makes the font a lot smoother. So it is the text, the font that I was using. I just used the font smoother to make the font a little bit smoother there. Okay, so there we have the Bio section. So now I'm gonna go to a website called Lorem Ipsum, and I'll click here, and I'll click Generate Lorem Ipsum. It's just kind of like dummy text for when you're building a website or anything, so that you don't you can use it for design purposes, so you don't always have to keep entering text. You can just use text like this. And then for the text, I'll make it 18, and then I'll say Lato. This is for the paragraph text here, and perfect. So now I'll just copy and paste this section again and bring it down here, and then paste again, and I'll zoom out so we can see the sections a little bit better, and I'll paste again right there. Perfect. Okay, and here I'll say Music. Here I'll say SoundCloud. Okay, and I'll just make this a little bit wider here, and then here we'll say Contact, and I'll add a contact form here so it looks better. Okay, and then let me select all of these. I'll click Align, make sure it's aligned to content area, and center. So all of these elements are centered. Okay, and that looks good there. I think the spacing is good. If I did want to make sure the spacing was exact, I could just highlight all of these, click on Group, right click, Group, right click, Group, right click, and Group, Group. Then I'll select them all. I'll say Align to selection, and then I'll distribute the spacing vertically. So now they have the exact spacing between each of these. All right, so those are our different sections, and now what I want to do is add anchor points so that when I click on the responsive side menu widget, the different links goes to those anchor points. Okay, so for the home page anchor point, or actually what I'm going to do is click on the anchor point option here to the left. I'm going to click on it 5 times. So I'll click 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then I'll place the first one up here, and I'll call this Home. The second one right above Bio, I'll call this Bio. The third one right above Music, I'll call this Music. The fourth one, I'll call this SoundCloud. And the last one, I'll say Contact. And this is what we did when we were working with the responsive side menu widget. We were assigning these anchor point names to the responsive side menu widget. So I'll just zoom out again, and then I want to make sure that the anchor points are centered too, just to be sure that it all looks good. And I'll select all of these, and again I'll align to selection and distribute spacing vertical, so that the anchor points all go to the same, so it's cohesive, so that for each sections the anchor point looks like it's at the same point before you can see the section. All right, and that's just by aligning everything evenly distributing everything evenly vertically there, like we just did. Okay, so now that we've done that, if I go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and I hover over the menu and I click on Bio, it goes to those different sections of the website, and it looks really good. Okay, and for the contact, we want to add more scroll space down here, so it goes all the way to contact. Okay, so I'll click on the menu, I'll go to contact, and there it is. So it's looking really good. So one thing I want to do is I want to add that kind of DJ effect for the scrolling. So to do that, to change the scroll easing, we just go to the responsive side menu. So I'll click here, and then I'll click on the widget options, and then here in scrolling we can set the scroll to speed. You'll want to make it at least 1000, because sometimes the Adobe Muse scrolling option wants to override the scrolling option in here, but if you set it to 1 second, it uses this scrolling option, and that's something that I'll set as default to 1000 there. But so I've set it to 1000. So for the scroll to easing, I'll just say ease in back right there, and that'll make it go back and then forward, and that's it. So there, for the scrolling, we just set that. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and now if I go to this section, Bio, it goes to that section, and then it has that effect. For the last for the last one it works too, because we have enough scrolling space. For the first one, it doesn't really do it because there's not enough scrolling space at the top, and we set the home page anchor right up here. So it's kind of trying to do it, but it's saying, hey, there's not enough scroll space at the top for me to do the effect. But that's okay for the music and SoundCloud and contact. And if we go back home, it all does it. But from home to any other anchor point, there's not enough scroll space at the top. You could bring all this down, but that might play with the design a little bit, so you might not want to do that. But for these other ones, it looks really great there. All right, so we have that kind of back and forth motion for the scrolling. And then I'll add the text producer right up here. I'll say producer, and for the font, we'll say Elroy text, and I'll say 72, and you can replace it with your name if you'd like. For the tracking, I'm gonna add more tracking so it's not so close together, and perfect, that looks good. Yeah, so I'll center this anchor point in this text to the content area and in the center, and that looks good right there. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and we'll just look at everything. Okay, we have the animation, it all comes in, looks good. We have the speakers vibrating, we have sound there. Okay, and yeah, I just highlighted everything there. And I want to link this last one to the music, so it's right here. So I'll just click on it, and then I'll say music, and I will remove the graphic style. I'll say none, so that last speaker there just goes to the music section. So we'll wait till it comes in, looks good, and then I'll click on the speaker there, it goes down to music, and perfect. I'm not going to add the text here. I could, but I'm just going to keep it moving through this video tutorial so it doesn't get too long. The last animation that I'm going to add, or kind of effect, is the particles.js widget. You could add this or not. It's just, I kind of like the effect in the background. It kind of looks nice, maybe just simple like it is. So I'll go to library panel, I'll type in particles, and I'll bring in the particles.js widget 1.1. Click, hold, and drag, and there we go. And I'm going to bring this to the back, so I'll click arrange, send to back, and we'll just move it to the top here. and I'm going to add, I'm going to add more height to it. So in the container height, I'm going to say 1,000, just to make sure that if the browser has a lot of height, that the particles cover it. And I'm also going to fix the particles.js to the top. So I'm going to go to the pin option here at the top and say pin to the top middle, so that it stays behind the website even when we're scrolling through the other elements, or the other sections of the web page. Okay, so here in the particles.js, I'll click on the widget options. Particle color, I'm going to say black. Particle shape circle. Number of particles, I'm going to say 20 because I don't want that many particles in the background. We're not going to add an image. We're going to say random opacity and opacity animation, just to add a little bit more animation there. We're not going to do opacity sync. Particle size, we're going to set it to 3 because I don't want them too big. I do want random size, and I'll say enable particle size animation. That might look nice. Particle speed, we'll leave it at 40. Minimum size 0.1, that's fine. Enable size sync, we'll leave that unchecked. I don't want any lines between the particles, so I'll I'll uncheck that. And we don't need to worry about the link color because we don't have any line link. Move speed, I do want it to move, and the speed I'll set to 4 because I don't want everything moving too fast. The move direction, it can move in all directions, and I don't want any interactivity on mouse click or on mouse hover. So I'll just uncheck enable interactivity on hover and enable interactivity on click. And so we don't have to really work with any of these because we don't have any interactivity, and these work mostly with interactivity here. So now I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and there we have the particles in the background. They're kind of just moving in and out, and that's kind of a fun animation. They're moving in and out a little bit too much, so I'll just go back to the particles.js, and for the, I believe it's the particle size speed, we're going to set it to 20, so it's not like going so crazy and jumping in the background there. Okay. All right, so that's a little bit better, and that's even a little bit too fast. And maybe I'll take off the particles size animation, so we don't have all that jumping around back there. Yeah, so I'll uncheck enable particle size animation. So I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and there we go. That's much better. It's not, the particles in the background aren't jumping too much. Hopefully you can see that in this video tutorial because the particles are a bit small. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is add the mute unmute audio widget for the audio to play initially. So I'm going to go to my library panel, and I'm going to type in mute unmute audio widget, and I do want to select the one that says unmuted initially because I want the audio to play initially. So I'm just going to click, hold, and drag and place onto my Adobe Muse website. The instance number, we do want a different instance number because we're using other audio widgets, and because they're audio widgets, the click hover audio effects, if it has the same instance number, it's going to try to do the same audio to this audio. So I'm going to give it an instance number of 4, and then I'm going to add an audio file. So I'm going to go back in here, click on audio, and I'm going to add this one, hip to the hop. And that looks good. So for the unmuted image and the muted image, we actually need to create those in Illustrator, or if you already have an image, you can just add those in the muted unmuted image. Okay, so I'll just go to File, New, and I'll click OK. I'm not too worried about the artboard size at the moment. Yeah, the artboard size. So I'll click on text, and I'll just click in here, and I'll type in mute audio, just like that. And then I'll say that same font that we used, Elroy text, right there. And I'm actually going to make this font color, let me bring in the SoundCloud widget. That's one thing I didn't go over, which I'm going to do now. So I'll go to SoundCloud right here in this section. I'm going to right click and ungroup these right down here, and I'm going to delete this, and then I'll go to my library panel, and I'll click on, I'll type in SoundCloud, and I'll bring in the Muse for You SoundCloud player widget. Perfect, right there. And I want to bring in my artist SoundCloud, so I'm going to right click, and I'm going to say artist, artist right there. And then I'm gonna go to my SoundCloud page right in here. Hopefully it's still logged in, and it is. So I'm gonna go to here, my profile, and I'm gonna go to here where it says all. I went to my profile, so you just click on your profile here. I'll click on profile, and then I'll click on share, and then I'll click on embed. And right here, this text in here, code and preview, code and preview, I want to hit Command C to copy. I'll open my text edit and I'll hit paste. And the digits that I want here are these 9 digits or 8 digits that goes after users, and these are the digits that I want to add to the widget so that it shows my artist playlist, which is all the tracks in my SoundCloud page. So I'll go back into the widget and I'll just paste that number in right in there. Okay, and perfect, there's my tracks. And I just copied this number here by hitting Command C from the embed code in the SoundCloud. Then I went into the widget, and in the SoundCloud ID I did Command V and paste, and perfect. So that's it, and everything else looks good. So I'll just leave it just like that. And let me kind of bring all this down here, the contact page, just bring it down a little bit, just like that. Okay, and I'll go to align and center. What I wanted to do actually was copy that orange from the SoundCloud. So there it is, back. I just had to go back to artist there. So I'm going to copy sample this orange color from the SoundCloud. You can use any color. I just kind of like the orange color, and there's a little bit of orange on the website already, so I want it to kind of match the SoundCloud, so it's like black and orange, and just some design ideas there. So to sample this color, I'll click on the website, I'll go to browser fill, I'll click the drop down here, and I'll click the sample color option here, and then I'll select this orange here, and I'll click here where it says add swatch. I'll click add swatch, and I'll click OK, and then I'll copy this hex code here, and I'll bring it back to white here by clicking white here for the website background. So now that I have that hex color from this orange, I'm just going to go back in here into the text, and then for the color, I'm going to copy, hit Command V to paste in that hex code, and there is our text. So now I'll go to Object, Artboards, Fit to Artwork, Artboard Bounds, and then that looks good. I'm going to actually add more tracking to this text so it's not so together. Maybe 50, or we'll do 40, just like that. Okay, I'll go to Object, Artboards, Fit to Artwork Bounds, and there's the text, and I'll save it into SVG so it doesn't really matter how big or small it is. And actually let me add more artboard here to give this more breathing room. Okay, so now I'll go to File, Export, and I'll say mute audio 2, because I've already saved mute audio 1. So I'll go to File, I went to save as PNG. I'll go to File, Export, PNG, I'll say SVG here for the format, and I'll say mute audio 2. Okay, I'll click OK. And because I'm using the artboard, I don't really think it matters that I gave more space here, but I think it's okay. And then here I'll say play audio. Okay, so there's that. And I'll go to File, or let me go to Object. Or let me just do that. I think when you save SVG, it doesn't use the artboard anyways, unless you tell it to. So I'll just go to File, Export, and then I'll save this as play audio-2.svg, and I'll click OK. And the format was already there at SVG, or I placed it as SVG, or set it to SVG. So now I'll go back here into the mute unmute audio widget, and then here for the select unmuted image, I'll click add file, and I'll go back into images, and I'll say the unmuted image, I want it to be play audio, or no, I want it to be mute audio, because when it's unmuted, I want to mute it, and then for the muted image, I want it to say play. So if it's muted, I want it to say play. And then for the button width, I'm going to say 150, And as we can see, it made it bigger because it is an SVG, and we could even say 200 here for the width, and perfect. So there's our SVG, the images for the mute and unmute audio, and I'll just align center, bring this up to the top a little bit more, just like that. That looks good. And I'll go to File, Preview Page in Browser, and there's the animation, and the audio plays. It just takes a moment for the audio to register or to play because it's a little bit of longer audio. But then if I click mute audio, it mutes, and we can have it play and mute. All right, and if I mute it, I can play with these ones, or I can play with the track. So it's just fun, kind of, have the user interact with your website and the audio there. And if I go down to the SoundCloud, or I could go to the menu and click on SoundCloud, it goes to SoundCloud, and I can play my tracks here. Oh, that's a little bit loud. Let's go to some of these here. All right, let's click play. So we can place the SoundCloud tracks as well. All right, that looks good. So yeah, I think that's it. I could also add a contact page. To do that, I'll just ungroup, let me ungroup this here, and I'll delete this. I'll go to Object, Insert Widget, Contact. I'll go to Form, and then Insert Widget, Form, Simple Contact, and I'll paste in there. I'm not going to style too much. I would style this definitely for my website, but because this video I think is already long enough, I'm not going to style the contact form there. But yeah, you just put in your email here and style your contact form here. And there was one other thing I wanted to show. Let's say for instance you want to sell your music. You could have a shop page. You could create a new page here, call it shop, and have it be your shop page. So I'll just go in here and kind of copy this and go here into shop and just say shop. Okay, and then here you could sell your music and license it, or however you'd like to do it. And you can use different platforms like sellfy.com to sell your digital products. You could use Gumroad, and I do have a video where I showcased all of this, so I'll just put that video in the show more section below. So if you did want to use any of these e-commerce platforms, they allow you to store digital downloads for your products, and you could have someone buy the audio and then download it right away. Okay, so I think this video has gone on for a bit, or it's a good length. I did cover everything I wanted to cover. It was a lot of fun creating this video tutorial and this website, and creating it before as well. So we did use quite a few widgets from museforyoushop.com. So to access these widgets, you simply go to museforyoushop.com, and then here you can click on the pop-up, and here you can click subscribe to get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. Or if you'd like to use PayPal, you can click here and use PayPal. If you'd like to purchase the widgets individually, they're all here. Here I have the Muse Motion, I have the responsive side menu widget, I have the animator widget, the mute-unmute audio widget, and the particles.js widget, and the click hover audio effects widget. Also the shake widget, which is here. Here's the font smoother widget, and the shake widget as well. All right, and those are the different widgets I used in this website. You could even have keyboard audio effects if you wanted to for your music website, and make it really fun for your users to play with audio on your website. Okay, so if you did want to purchase any of these widgets individually, you simply click on the widget, and then here you can click on add to cart to purchase individually, or again, you can get access to all widgets and any new widgets I come out with for $39 a year. So that's it for this video tutorial. Again, I do this to help you build awesome websites without code. If you like this video tutorial, you can subscribe below. Also in the show more section below are links to other resources and links to museforyoushop.com. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial. Thank you.